none of us would like to have happen is live to be 120 but have our brain start falling apart in our 80s. There's been some recent research showing that we can actually reverse some of the cognitive changes that we have with aging.
Walter, thank you very much for coming to our studio. What is the purpose of the trip here?
My overall purpose is to understand how we can, what's going on in terms of research in my zone in US and Europe can complement some of the work that's being done here in China, to work with the new campus of the University of Hong Kong Science and Technology in Shanghai, to see how we can help them set up a innovations program to move new medical products forward. Well, my work has been very diverse and broad, but in general, it's focused on helping what we know as basic academic research, move it out of the research laboratories and into early stage companies, and then helping those early stage companies scale and grow. Within that zone, I've had a particular passion on leveraging digital technology, computer technology, cell phone technology. How can we reach more people leveraging the technologies that we have all around us? And within that, I've also had a passion for leveraging virtual reality, augmented reality technology, what we're starting to call immersive systems, to help with healthcare.
Would you please tell us, so what is the state-of-the-art research results on the mental health? How to keep our brain healthier when we get old?
Well, I think it's so important that we find new ways to keep our brains healthy as we age. We will probably live much longer than previous generations, significantly longer. And with so many breakthroughs in keeping our bodies healthy and alive longer than previous generations, we have yet to really come up with impactful technologies, impactful systems that help keep our brains alive. So right now, the statistics are troublesome. By the time we age into our 70s, 80s, and 90s, 3 out of every 7 of us will develop a serious neurodegenerative disease like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. Those numbers aren't very encouraging. And what none of us would like to have happen is live to be 120, but have our brain start falling apart in our 80s.
What kind of lifestyle will keep people to have a healthier brain when they get old, when they get to 70s, 80s?
Well, the good news is what helps keep your body healthy also keeps your brain healthy. So better exercise, better sleep, nutrition, social engagement, things that are good for us, our bodies, are also keeping our brains very healthy. Mm-hmm. But of those, I would say sleep is the most important one. None of us would like to have happen is live to be 120, but have our brain start falling apart in our 80s. We can change the degree of exposure based on how their eyes and their facial expressions are telling us about how they're feeling.
You also, as a medical technology developer, and develop the things called immersive therapy. So would you please give us an example? How are you going to use the VR, AR technology to help the people with the mental problems such as PTSD?
Well, it's really been quite profound how we've been able to apply immersive technologies to different therapies, in particular within mental health. For post-traumatic stress, we can extend the tools of the clinician to do exposure therapy. For example, you've had an automobile accident and you have some post-traumatic stress because of that, and you're hesitant to drive again. We can have you talk to a clinician. The clinician, instead of just saying, imagine you're getting into your automobile about to be driving, your brain doesn't want to go there with just that suggestion. But if the clinician puts a virtual reality headset on you and puts you in the driver's seat and says, let's start out very slowly and let's talk about your reaction to the stimulus, that clinician can help you learn the cognitive skills to manage that fear reaction and also habituate the response. Once you've learned that it's going to be okay, that when you're driving in the virtual reality car, you can then transfer that out to the real world. And the same thing can be used for helping people with addictions who might be struggling with alcohol or nicotine. We can use the virtual experiences to create a bar scene, and they might practice how to respond to peer pressure from their friends, knowing what to say when being triggered to have a craving.
You said that you have a headset, just like the Apple's Vision Pro, or people wearing that, and people will know what they are into.
Yeah, it's really quite amazing. I like to use the term experience on demand, and we can really take people someplace else by using a VR headset. And one of the headsets that is manufactured here by Pico, a division of ByteDance, is one that's being used quite often therapeutically now. It's if you haven't tried it, you really should. The technology has evolved very rapidly over the last few years. And now with generative AI, we can dynamically change the virtual reality experience based on your reaction. We can look at your eye gaze, we can look at your facial expressions, see what you're attending to, and then change the experience based on that. So if a clinician is helping someone master a craving or master a fear of something, maybe it's a fear of heights, we can change the degree of exposure based on how their eyes and their facial expressions are telling us about how they're feeling.
Is it work now? I mean, from your clinical trial result?
There's many hospitals that are using virtual reality as part of helping people manage acute pain to distract them from an uncomfortable experience, or teaching people how to manage chronic pain to again address the fear reaction that we often learn from having a chronic pain experience. So it's moving beyond just the theory and just the early adopters. We're now seeing people using it as just clinical care.
As you mentioned that your digital therapy is helping people with PTSD, helping people with addiction on alcohol. So will it help people with Alzheimer's? My mom diagnosed with Alzheimer's 8 years ago, but we can do nothing, just to watch her to decrease. So anything that your digital therapy way to help the people were at the very early stage who were diagnosed as Alzheimer's?
Yes, there's some groups that have used virtual experiences for senior care. And one example would be is to help reduce the isolation. Often people who are in their senior years are disconnected from family members who might be living in another city. So we can use a virtual environment for them to have an experience together. They might go for a walk in the forest together. We can also help for people who are struggling with Alzheimer's, create a relaxing experience for them to calm them down, or to remind them of their family members and the fun they've had with family members in the past by taking photographs and videos of their past experiences. I don't think we can use virtuality right now to cure some of these problems, but we can help treat the symptoms of anxiety, the symptoms of depression, the symptoms of feeling isolated from family members.
So how can you help some children with autism with your technology?
Well, one example is we've been able to use virtual environments as a way for some people on the autism spectrum to learn how to address social anxiety, for example, to practice how to make friends, how to respond to questions, how to look people in the eye and really understand their emotional state.
Yeah.
So one of the things we do
The kids with autism always afraid of socializing with people, talking to people, right?
Right, and it's often because they have trouble understanding the emotional state of others.
Yeah.
That understanding if someone is angry or friendly or concerned, but we can exaggerate facial expressions in the virtual environment and give them feedback on the emotional state of others in different ways, and then they can learn.
In your practice, does it work to help the kids with autism?
Yes, and also other learning challenges. I prefer to view it more as skill building rather than helping someone who has a disability. We all are interested in learning, but there's different speeds of information processing that we can do. So now with better sensor technology, we can make a more precise approach to an individual's learning style.
Yes. Enterprise level today, it hasn't taken off yet. So what are the barriers now?
Well, there's a couple of reasons why it has not taken off, although we've made a lot of progress. The barriers right now are that people feel uncomfortable putting on a headset that blocks their view of the rest of the world. Also, previously, our technology was limited in terms of the experiences that you might have that are multi-user. You might have a great experience by yourself in a virtual reality environment, very high resolution, very great fidelity. But once we start bringing other individuals in, they look like robots. With emerging technologies such as smart glasses technology, AR systems, I think we can put a layer of virtual environments on top of the built environment and use that in a very effective way, for example, for stroke rehabilitation. We don't want to block the outside world. We want to maybe teach people how to move, to do a task in the real world, but making it more engaging and giving them feedback on their progress.
How to break these barriers in the future? I mean, does it mainly depend on research, depends on the technology breakthrough, or the people's behavior or the regulations?
You know, I think we have to work on all three levels. I think we've had trouble at the regulation level. I mean, our systems are designed to keep us safe, but they can sometimes hinder moving forward some technology that has been demonstrated to be impactful and effective. I think we also have to look at the economics of the situation. The headsets that we've had before have been expensive, and it's hard to provide one to everyone to address a mental health or a physical health issue. But even though in the long run it might reduce cost. But now with less expensive technology and with more research showing the value of the technology, I think we're poised to move forward. So it really takes, I think, a collaboration between government, insurance groups, healthcare networks, and the technology sector to move things forward. The good news, I think, is that the tech titans are all looking at healthcare as a big opportunity now and moving their technology forward into healthcare so we can help guide them the right way. Back to the main thing we were talking about earlier, cognitive aging. There's been some recent research showing that we can actually reverse some of the cognitive changes that we have with aging. There's, starting at around age 18, there's some aspects of our cognitive function that have a very predictable decline. But now we understand the cognitive exercises. This is from the work of Dr. N. Ghazali at University of San Francisco Medical Center. He was able to have individuals basically play a game. It was called Neural Racer, and improve their reaction time and skills of this cognitive skill that is normally declining, because you have to get people in their 60s to score as if they were in their 20s. Then he went back later, years later, to see if that learning persisted, and it did. So the good news is we do have ways of reversing some of these cognitive declines if we have precise measurement and have ways to engage people to stick with the cognitive exercises that they need to do.
In terms of your job to translate the academic research results into the enterprise level, so is there any successful business story that you can share with us?
There's several. I'm excited by what I've seen. There's several companies that have worked to use virtual environments to teach the psychomotor skills necessary for surgery, to help understand and speed up the surgical learning process, to teach a surgeon to do a new surgical procedure using a simulation. Those companies have been very successful at improving the training process. I've also seen several companies that have been very successful in the area of neurorehabilitation, helping us recover from stroke or traumatic brain injury. And then also there's several companies that have been very successful addressing chronic pain, back pain, for example.
They are making money.
They're making money, and they're validating the results as being impactful. But there's a lot of inertia in the healthcare system, so it takes time.
To scale these companies up, what kind of role that each players can play, the regulators, the investors, or the scientists like you?
Well, I think we have to start with validating the impact of these technologies. Then we have to look at, do they also reduce cost? Do they also reduce the busy burden on the clinicians? We have to prove the business value of it. It can't just be, here's a clinical value if it creates more of a burden on an already challenged healthcare system, or if it's too expensive. After that, we need to see, how can we find the right channel partners for these small companies to distribute their products? They don't have the revenue or the resources to market and support these products on a global level. So there does need to be a acquisition or a teaming with some of the larger healthcare companies in order to really have it grow. We also need input and guidance and assistance from the regulatory agencies and from the government agencies in order to scale. If there's resistance there to a proven product that has value, then it will slow things down.
So in your clinical trial on the immersive therapy, does FDA involved in each process?
The FDA does review those products that make claims of clinical efficacy. If it's more on the wellness side, then it's not necessary to go through their review. But if you're making a claim that it will do a certain assessment or a certain therapeutic impact, we have to go through FDA review. And the FDA has risen to the occasion and has adjusted its processes to come up with new categories, such as software as a medical device, where you can write a prescription for software.
Bill Gates has a theory. He said that for any new technology, things will happen faster than people imagine, but not as fast as the visionary predicts. So in terms of your area, the immersive therapy area, what will happen over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I'm smiling because my colleagues and I got involved in virtual reality back in 1987. And every few years, my colleagues and I would say, within the next 5 years, it will scale. And we keep saying that. But I do believe we're now crossing a threshold where this technology will scale. And I do believe new technologies such as smart glasses technology will help us do that. I like the quote of William Gibson, the writer, who says, the future is already here. It's just unevenly distributed. We have answers to some of these problems, but we just need to bring them out of the early stage company level or the academic level and bring them forward. So there are solutions. And the FDA has risen to the occasion and has adjusted its processes to come up with new categories, such as software as a medical device, where you can write a prescription for software. I would say that China is poised to move things forward in a very rapid way.
Would you please describe for me what is the landscape of your area globally? So who has the leading edge, the US, Europe, or the Asia, the emerging market?
You know, I wish I had a good answer to that question. One of the reasons I'm here is I'd like to learn what's going on here and how I can help and how my colleagues can help. I know there's a lot going on in China, especially with AI.
Yeah.
I would say that for virtual reality, augmented reality technology, for a long time, the U.S. has been the center of gravity for that, and things have started there and moved out from there. Europe has also had a lot going on. Really, worldwide, there's been research going on. In terms of where the action is now, I think I would say that China is poised to move things forward in a very rapid way, especially with the advances in AI technology. That will help us understand the data analytics much in a more profound way, and also then, again, personalize the therapy, send someone down the right clinical pathway with better analytics and understanding, which we get from AI.
Specifically in your immersive therapy to a patient, AR, VR therapy with a headset, when will AI come in?
Well, it's coming in right now. Whenever we score an individual's reaction, as we measure with heart rate or respiration, or the newer signals we're capturing, eye gaze data, facial expression, voice tone data, that's all engendered by better analytics brought in by AI. And then also, as we look to identify the best clinical pathway for an individual, it won't just be VR and AR. We need to look at genetics, proteomics, behavioral data, other aspects of medical history, every signal we can get, medical imaging of the brain, all that helps us understand the best pathway for a particular problem for a particular individual. So we're entering the era of precision medicine, and that's all engendered by better AI analytics.
With AI, some people today have already declared victory over cancer. In the future, are people able to declare victory over the war against Alzheimer's, Parkinson's?
Absolutely, but I don't know how soon. And because I think it's dependent upon decisions that will be made in the near future. How much funding we'll put into research? Will the healthcare networks help us scale the products? Will the tech titans and existing players in the medical device industry help move things forward? So there's some unknowns. The pathway is there. It will happen. But whether it happens in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, it's going to depend on what the other players in the environment do. I would say that challenges right now for cooperation between different countries to address some of these problems. I think we have to get over that somehow. I think healthcare should be an area that's beyond politics, where we work together to solve these very important problems. And I think that there's a pathway to do that. I hope we go down that pathway.
Thank you very much, Walter. Thank you.
Thank you.